One. Hi guys, if you can confirm a bit, am I audible? Can you all hear me, guys? Let me check the sounds. Hello, testing one, testing one. Is it possible to confirm the sounds? Can you all hear me? Ahmad? Thanks, Ahmad.
Hello. Good afternoon, guys. Can you hear me? Hello, can you hear me? My online participants, can you hear me? Yes, yes, right. Very good. So we have a new two joiners, Sarah and Ahmed. Hello, welcome. So right. So let's do the class today. Is P1 session number 3, I guess. P1 session number 3, no? You're a new joiner? A newcomer and at a new joiner week. Oh, after newcomer, eh? So then you in the CMA P foundation level here or somewhere else? Ah, here. Ah, good. I think you know. Ah, online. What's your name? Sometimes I might ask some questions from you from the online session. Do you know much? You're much, ne? Okay. Did you collect the dude? This book? I think you can collect the textbook if you really. Why? Hmm. How can we do that? Yeah. Can printing room එක හිටියද කවුරු හරි? Can you check quickly and come printing room එකේ තියෙන්නේ මේක බැස්ස ගමම්ම ඊළඟට හම්බෙන flow එක. ඒ කියන්නේ second එක නේද? ඔව්. මේ third මේ second නේද? නෑ අන්න first flow එක right. Can you check? P1 සීමා management account P1 එක කියලා කියනවා. So how did you do the computations whatever we discussed previously? I was there last week. Yeah, Sarah. Yes, yes, I remember Sarah. You were in Sarah were in online में physical I guess. Sarah online में physical now, right, right. I remember Sarah. Yes, yes, yes. Okay. Let's do the computation now. Uh, we have completed the chapter 1, and then we completed the modern cost accounting phases part 1, chapter 2 as well. And then we partly completed the other costing techniques, chapter 3 as well. Today we are going to start the standard costing and variances part 1, which is we call chapter number 4. Again, I'm repeating, my online participants can also hear what we discussed here. Last week, our P1 session number 2, up to that, we completed the chapter 1, chapter 2, and chapter 3. From the chapter 3, only one calculation is there, joint product and process and joint product or byproduct costing. So we kept that for a particular period because there is a big lesson or big chapter to complete. With that, I'm going to cover. But anyways, we 90% of that chapter 3 we completed. That's why I have asked you to write the partly completed. So anyways, we completed the 3 chapters. Now today we are going to start with the chapter number 3, which is we call the new chapter, standard costing and variance part 1. So if you have a notebook and textbook, please keep inside and take out your notebook, CR book, and write chapter number 4, standard costing and variances. Standard costing and variances. Standard costing and variances. standard costing and variances. So here we are going to discuss about that standard costing and variances. Before that, the page number 31. Turn the page number 31 of the textbook. Today's lecture session number 3 and 1st October 2023. Page number 31. Lecture session number 2, number 3, lecture session number 3 and page number 32, standard costing and variances. So here we are going to learn all these things relevant to the standard costing and variances. Here again, you are going to repeat the same basic kind of standard costing calculations, whatever you have learned from the SIMA DA2. So, because your operational level, this management accounting, your examiner wants to test the foundation level, these brought forward knowledge as well. Before we learn the variances, we call the advanced variance, we are going to work hard with the foundation, very basic. So here, I'm not going to touch that much theory first, because based on the calculations, we can work on it. I wanted to give the small explanations about the standard costing and the variances. Actually, standard costing, what is standard costing and the variances analysis? What is the standard costing? Why variance analysis? What is the name for analysis? Why variances? Any idea? My online participants can also provide the answer. Actually, yes. When it comes to the standard costing and variances, we knew standards. We call standards, which is coming under budgeted. We call budgeted or estimation or estimate or estimated, budgeted or estimated. So when it comes to the word budgeting, you got it, good. When it comes to the budgeted or estimation or estimated, and when it comes to the standards, so these two words and letters are there for us to consider, because the standards we call, which is per unit term. When it comes to the budgeted or estimation, which is we call the total term. That's the difference. So now, before that, I want to tell, we are in the lecture session number 3, and chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3 completed. Chapter 3, 90% completed. One of the calculation called joint product and the byproduct we had to complete with a big another lesson. But anyways, we completed chapter 3 chapters now. In the session number 3 now, we are in the session number 3. And chapter number 4, today we are going to start page number 31. Page number 31, chapter 4. Page number 31, chapter 4, standard costing, variances, standard costing and variances analysis. Standard costing and variances. You can write in your notebook by putting the today's date and the lecture session number 3, standard costing and variances analysis. So in that case, I wanted to explain why the standard, why the budgeted. So we all know when it comes to the budgeted or estimated, we call budgeted or estimated which is the total version. So we are going to consider the total. For example, budgeted කියලා කිව්වම we know it's a total term. Total budgeted cost. නැත්නම් total estimated cost. Like that, no? When it comes to the standards, all know standard is where we call the nice name called predetermined. Predetermined. That's not predetermined, that's not pre-estimated. Wait for particular unit. The standard one is the per unit term we are going to call. This budgeted or estimation one we call the total. This is the difference. But anyway, this is the estimation or estimated value. When it comes to the variances or variance analysis, we call variance is where your budgeted or estimated amount or your standard amount you are going to compare with the actual. Very first day, very big at the very beginning, you don't know some cost amount or revenue. No, you don't know what will be the cost, what will happen to the revenue, but you are estimating, you are expecting. So then you are going to start from the beginning with a particular plan. So we call this a plan, නැත්නම් estimate. So then at the end you have actual. Now you know what actually received, what actually you spent. So you are going to compare the available actual figure with the expected thing, your planned one. So sometimes your planned one is, if it is a cost, your planned costs are very lower than the expected, than the actual result. And that kind of a situation, we can say, oh my God, this is the lower estimation. So we can say adverse, not favorable. This is the variances analysis. Sometimes when it comes to the planned one, so we can say planned one, planned cost, estimated cost is which is, let's say, estimated which is, let's say, which is a very higher number of value. You expected cost, you estimated this big amount. Actual one is very low. That's good. You estimated that much, but you spend very low money, low amount. That's good. Then we can say it's a favorable or it's a good thing, right? This is we call variances analysis. But here we may require to know all each and all these key points you to work with the standard costing and variances. This is the part one. You have learned under SIMA foundation level BA2. If you are not done BA2 yet, this is a good opportunity to again the remind and recap the all the BA2 related matters. Why P1 is mostly brought forward knowledge from the BA2 to P1. Some of the advanced things are there under P1. So especially when we are talking about standard costing, you learn the standard costing formula. You learn all the variances how to calculate. But here again, I'm going to teach because we want the examiner P1. They are going to test again these things, and plus there are additional variances as well. So we are going to work all together for the P1. So very big at the beginning to and 100. I mean 0 to 100. I'm going to teach you. Therefore, don't worry about the whatever the past you learn, whatever you remember, whatever you forgot. So again, I'm going to repeat same because which is applicable to the P1. When you are working with the variances, page number 30, 4 is there with the calculation. I'm going to do all with the calculation because theories are, you can absorb theories while we are doing the calculation. So page number 34, we have a computation, very fundamental computation. First, we are going to familiarize with the formula, with the fundamental formula question. Then after we complete with this all, we have a heavy, I mean, this examination type big questions to focus. That is sometimes we have a page number 43, possible OTQ line 1. The big question, page number 43, if you can look at the, this is the examination paper calculation. Page number 43. In 2015, prior to 2015 syllabus change, they tested all the P1 matters with the paper. No, one of the question came from that paper. So, may wage prashna you will get and in your P1 exam with a different style. But that OTQs are not that much difficult. Very easy to manage. So also I'm developing the your book. I call it all you know, question book. I'm going to release after we complete the few of the area. Then after that, I'm going to do this book as well. Sometimes I will do the paper class. Sometimes I might arrange some special weekday evening sessions, not every day, sometimes, most probably, because I'm going to do the paper class as well for this batch onwards. I'm going to start that new session, paper class, P1 paper class. So, but if you don't want, it's not a problem, but it's a P1 paper class. I'm going to do all the difficult kind of questions. Textbook and the question book and the paper class. At the end, mock paper and mock discussion done and dusted with the revision. Then you can schedule your exam because we almost now completed a few chapters now. So we are on track because I want to complete your syllabus as soon as possible. Then because I want time to do the text question book. That's right? So that one also like some kind of pages like this is a full questions with the mix and all. You have to work with me. Right. When it comes to the variances, now we are going to learn these variances like this. I think I remember you learn, but don't worry. Now we are going to start all this from the beginning. Under variances, you learn the material cost variance. Material cost variance. This is the number one. Mm. And then I remember you learn labor cost variance. Labor cost variance. Number three, you have learned fixed, sorry, before that, let's say variable overheads cost variance. Variable overhead cost variance. Number four, you have learned fixed overheads cost variance. And then you learned number five, we'll say, let's say it's a sales variances. Sales variances. So these are the fundamental parts. Inside each category, each topic, I hope you learn all the sub-variances according to these relevant topics. Now again, we are going to start with that learning. In P1, once you complete with all the least work in with the variances, you are going to learn the new variances called, I'm not going to touch now. After this, I'm going to teach that. Planning and operating variances. Material mix and material yield variances. Sales mix and sales yield variances. So like that, you are going to learn the advanced variances under SIMA P1. So first of all, we had to know and we had to learn fundamental things. I hope you remember under material cost variances, you learn this sub-variance called material total cost variance. And under that, you learn the second one called material price variance. Material price variance. Under number three, I hope you learn material usage variance. Material usage variance. These are the three things. Remember? What are we Oh my god. දිගටම කළා සෙක්ෂන්. දැන් තාම නෑ. මේක හොඳයි. රිකැප් කරගන්න. මේක අනිවාර්යයෙන් ඉගෙන ගන්න ඇති. And then when it comes to the labor cost variance, you learn again three sub variances, which is we call labor total cost, labor total cost variance. Number two, I remember you learn labor rate variance, labor rate variance. And then after third, you learn labor efficiency variance. And number four, under that, you learn labor what? Idle time variance. මේවා අහනවා exam එක. BA2 උත් අහනවා, P1 උත් අහනවා. Questions කරකවලා දෙන්නේ. But don't, we are going to learn it very clearly. Four variances under labor. When it comes to the variable overhead cost variance, so I would like to tell you first, don't worry if you have any pending exam from the SIMA foundation level, all four subjects, don't worry, because we also did like that when we are doing the SIMA. No one can't finish the foundation level before the operation level classes. This is the truth. So we also did, when I doing my SIMA paper-based exam, I have those days once we done with the foundation level, we had to do the operation management strategy level and top SIMA is there. But likely we had a chance to do the, I had a chance to do the different way, but we had like that. So anyways, we did the operation level, management level, two subjects together. We had a catch up. Now we don't have. But when I are doing, when I started my class okay, as a student, so I had a whole four foundation on the use the 10 people. But I did first low.
I start studying the law and I think why law is not going to be teach again in the operation level. No. But I after that I did the economics from the world. But anyways, can manage your economics under that particular they have from that area. But BA2 and the BA3, the financial accounting subject and MA. So these two are we can recover, we can again and again we can memorize because of the operation level. Right? F1 nekai, E1 nekai. So then we are therefore based on that while I doing it, I start study. Before the operation level class made from the institute, we completed. So I also completed auto. The first attempt we done. Then after that, I started to register for the operation level OTQ, for example, paper-based exam schedule, paper-based. The paper-based exam schedule, and if they are having the time schedule, so based on that, slots we had to schedule. So like that we did. So therefore, don't worry. The SIMA journey, this normal route, not the FLP. FLP is a different normal route. No one can't finish all the OTQ exam foundation level before the operation level. Some people are doing without completing the foundation level. They are saying, "Oh my God, I can't do the operation level. I want to take some time. I will enroll in the next intake and I will do the foundation." Don't do that stupid work. I didn't do why. If you are using that kind of the work, you are not doing that exam. You are not going to do why. Here you have a motivation. You have a competition because you know as soon as possible, I should finish that because I had registered for the OTQ exam operation level. If you're planning, I have this much of comfortable and convenient like that you are thinking and you are working next intake I will do. We are not going to never complete the SIMA on time and also sometimes we are dragging. Some of the fellows, they complete SIMA because of that kind of mentality. They did after 10 years, 15 years after that, they are completed. Why? No need to do that much of time because for us, so do the SIMA, whatever you plan from the beginning to end, start and work and hard work and then finish it. We call that start with the ending mindset, I call. The word I call start with the ending mindset. පටන් ගන්න ඉවර කරන්නේ නැතුව ඇදදී නෙමෙයි start with the ending mindset because some of you are working. My online also I'm giving that advice people who are listen to the recording. People who are not working, you have a more chances, more time. Because coming to the lectures and going to the home and not focusing means aparadya. Don't do that. You have a more time. If you are not done any work up to today, forget about the past. Past is a past. We can't drag and we can't keep that past into that now. Ask them to go now. From today onwards, start studying. I told you in the first lecture session, take the piece of papers, half sheets, for the all four OTQ subjects for the foundation level. And then write the one half sheet called the BA1, BA2, BA3, BA4, and then write the contents, what chapters you are comfortable. I know any chapters you are not comfortable. So then put the all cross mark for the red color cross mark for the in front of the each chapter. Divide the time among you and then work hard for that because one subject you are completing this much of chapters. After that, because of the boring, you are going to do some questions because the achievers they provide the questions. We have a PPT book, we have other books. My online platforms are there now. Because I got to know that Ashanti is almost there. We tuition මොකක්ද කියලා එකක් තියෙනවා. Sima tuition something is there. You can get a lot of questions from the different platforms. Work, then practice. But anyways, don't worry because I'm giving the mind check. Do you want to come get on? Yes, you have to become my own. You can no need to worry about
The textbook and all. Other subject if you are not comfortable. So we also did like that. Because from when I learned in my SIMA foundation level business law and
our business mathematics as well. I forgot not the 4, 5 subjects. Mathematics separate.
oh, law separate 5 subject, 5 OTs,
Not the 4. Yes, yes. මේක බැලුවේ මොකද මේ
අඩුපාඩුවක් වුණ එක. 4 mathematics separately. Now economics එක නේද තියෙන්නේ. We had a separately 50 marks.
I'm not a statistic fellow either. I'm දන්නේ නැහැ but I first attempt එකේ බොහොම 52ක් තරම් පාස් වුණා. First attempt. Maths නැහැ but also this but
sometimes because there are different Excel sheet related things and all. We don't know. But what I did for that kind of uncomfortable subject, I took the
text online. Printing uncle for Mr. Manjula, he is aware of that. He can react to it. Whenever the weekday free time call to that he was printing department. So Sofyan, you can take it. So they will, I don't know about these prices and all. You can have them. So they will what is that? If you are not comfortable with this one particular subject, don't don't give up because you had to anyways you have to work hard. Ne? I select enroll you can't learn, no, then otherwise no point of doing that. No, take the textbook, or else sometimes you have some friends from the other institute, so sometimes they have some tutorials. Collect those. We did like that. We are not depend with the same tutor and all, but for now, because I did the same thing like that in the mama හැම එකකම එක එකතු කරලා හදනවා. So no need to ඒක බැලුවොත් මේකේ තියෙන ඔක්කොම ටික. මම හැදුවා මගේ subject I did like that. So I also work like that as a student earlier. Therefore, you have a comfortable book. Three books ටිකක් තියෙනවා. මම දෙනවා textbook එකයි, question book එකයි. තව දෙනවා මම ඉස්සරහ දෙනවා තව mind map book එකක් දෙන්න හදන්නේ. We'll see. You have three books to complete your P1. So therefore, no need to worry about that. So other subjects, I told you, foundation level. If you are not comfortable, please bring some book, textbook, and refer that. Read it because we all are we can read, no? We can, while we are reading, we can collect the evidence. Don't give up. තව මොකද කරන්නේ? තව පාඩම් කරන්න, study කරන්න එක hold on කරන්න. You will lose the previous knowledge. මතකේ නැති වෙනවා ටක් ගාලා. This is the truth. We are the humans, not the robots. You remember whatever movie you watched in the first time. When you're watching the second time, you remember this name and this place, what's next to be happen. But when you are studying the one note, one textbook or one particular subject knowledge, when you read something like the first attempt, you are not remember second එක බලන එක. First එක කියලා ආයි පිටු පස්සට බලලා බලද්දී මොකද්ද කියුවේ කියලා මතක නැහැ. Actually දැන් මේක foundation කළානේ, you don't remember, no? Why? ඒක not your fault. ඒක මටත් අදාළයි. Everyone, because we are humans. We would like to attract most interesting. Interesting. For example, while you are traveling to the achievers now, at that time, let's just say one handsome boy look at you. But you got to know, but you didn't give any reactions to him. But once you came to the lecture hall also, you are thinking about this fellow is look at my face. Why? That is a memory. We are like that. Then you saw something that what you are not going, but you saw that person is reading, but you don't know what content, because you can see there's something called something is there, but while you are traveling you saw that but after that you but I know I remember this person read something. That's the thing. We are the humans. We are not allowed to, we are not attached to these things. We have to attach. How? Read these kind of things 10 more, minimum 5 more times. While you are working with that, make those things more interesting. Love to your subject, whatever. Difficult when the make it interesting. Highlight, underline, make short notes. First reading Mama Karanne, I'm reading the particular book, subject, topic as a newspaper. I'm not going to try to understand at the very first day. Can't do. How can we? Then let's say this is the subject, let's say P1 then gatta. First page එක බැලුවා. Then ඔයාලා කරන්නේ මොකද? You are going to read very first reading also, you are trying to understand. You are trying to memorize. Can't do. You are not attached to that. That's why we are called keep on studying කියන්නේ. First you read that particular chapter like a first reading, you read like a newspaper. Newspaper කියද්දි දැන් මතක වෙනවද newspaper එකක් කියද්දි you know whatever the murder case මොන හරි තිබ්බත් you know හැබැයි ඒක detail කියන්න මතක නැහැ, but you know මෙහෙම එකක් තිබ්බා, the political මොකක්ද එකක් කියලා තිබ්බා, you know මේකේ තියෙනවා තියෙන first reading. Then after that keep this somewhere and then think if you remember මොනවද මම මේක කරේ, again take it, then again turn the page and then one by one, word by word read, and while you are reading with that, highlight. If you want, you can make a short note along with that. On then chuttak you are going to absorb. Why? You are familiar with that. Eka part familiar නැති එක කියව ගමන් කාටද මතක හිටින්නේ? Can't do. When you are driving the vehicle, eka part ගත්ත ගමන් can you drive? You can't. You have to first have an experience of that. When you are used to that, you can. We are the human. Not because of your fault.
නැත්නම් සමහර අය දෙනවා අනේ මට බෑ. මට ඉංග්‍රීසි බැරි හින්දාද. No, I'm also not like a Shakespeare English. We are Sinhala people, no? We are not that much fluent because we have to learn. The language is not a problem to your studies, right? Language is not a problem to your studies. We have to start study. බැරි දේ කරන්න තමයි පුළුවන් වෙන්නේ. ඒක give up කළා දැම්මොත් you can't do anything. That's the truth. බැරි දේම කරන්න. මට බෑනේ. මං කරලා බලන්න ඕනේ. එතන you are going to use to that. Then what happened? You automatically converted into study. මොකද වෙන්නේ? ඔන්න exam එකට book කරගන්නවා date එක. You also don't know. You automatically doing that. ලස්සනට කරනවා. Without looking at, without thinking, only coming for the lectures without doing. I want to tell that because I don't care because මට කමන්නේ මොකද්ද කියලා. But I know that pain because I also as a student earlier I did that. මටත් ওই වැඩේ තිබ්බා. නැත්තේ නෑ මට කියන්න කවුරුත් හිටියේ නෑ. Lecturers are coming and giving the lectures. I went to the biggest largest school in the Asia. I went to that place. You know, in Sri Lanka, what is the place? Now it's collapsed. Now it's not there. Earlier is a large school. You all know what is the place in Kolbeti. So now it's not there. Take a collapse. But anyways, I still respect for my lecturers. But they are coming and giving and going. But some lecturers were there. They are very helping. But other things I can't get. No, I have to think myself. Sometimes after the lectures, because I also used to go by bus from Kolpiti to Kaduwela because I was in the Hongwell area, but I had used 2 buses. I'm not that rich. School A-level කරපු ගමන් වාහන දෙන්නේ නැහනේ. I use the bus. Sometimes when I have that kind of the difficulty, lecture is finish the lecture ඉවර කරන දවල්ට 1 to 2 ඉවර වෙනවනේ. There's a park called Vihara Mahadevi Park එක. You all know Vihara Mahadevi එක. දැන් කොල්පෙටි බස් එක ගිහලා නවත්තන්නේ විහාර මහදේවි පාක් එක අතන හෝල්ට් එක ගාවින් අර අතන ටෙනිස් කෝඩ් එක හරිය. So you know the in front of the public library. ඔතන 138 බස් ඔක එතනින් බැස්සම අපිට විහාර මහදේවිට යන්න පුළුවන්. I went to Vihara Mahadevi alone. I don't have someone else to go. Some people you will think මේ ආයෙන කපල් එකක් එක යන්නේ නැති කියලා. No, I don't have a person, but I went because I have some doubts. සමහර හිතන lecture එක මට මොනවද තියෙන්නේ. මට after I went home, I can't focus because my parents are coming. I have to talk to them. My sister is there. So we had to. The family. I don't have. I can't all alone and fight for them. But I want a very serious, very inspiring. Take notebook. I plan what to do. What are my difficult areas? How can I improve that? So like that I discuss my own self, what to improve, what to do, what not to do. So I had a very difficult thing. All the mathematics. I can't give up. මට විමහ කරන්න ඇවිල්ලා මම මොකටද ඉනොට් කරගන්නේ මට අනිත් ස්ටොප්ට ගන්න. I am going to do. So I didn't do that. මම පේ කළේ මට ඕනේ. හැබැයි when you are working මම මේක දෙන එක හොඳයි. So you are not going to motivate for yourself. I knew. When you are not doing the much 100% effort for your studies, did you decide to select the SIMA? You can. This is the time called Sunday evening, heavy raining. Without coming to here, you can eat and sleep very well more than people who are struggling to study. Right? You try to take that effort for your studies and because some of people you have some kind of again you open some of the orders to come back to the game and you depends on our party. Hey, you have to learn that in that when you're doing the foundation, operation, managerial, strategy level, you have a so those time my time I didn't go any single දාණය. දාන ගෙවල් කියන්නේ නෑදෑයන්ගේ. I didn't go any single. ඉතාලි schedule එක මම lecture cut කළේම නෑ කවදාවත්. මට තේරුණාට මම ගියා. ඊට පස්සේ මම හිටියේ. වල ඉස්සරහට ප්‍රශ්න අහන්න නෑ. මම ඉතින් the corner side. ඒ එනකොට ඒකේ corner side එකේ මෙයා ඉන්නේ මට I have අමත් එක තියෙනවා මේ පරිදි අමුගෙන යන.
when I doing something and paper එකක් කරන මකරේ සර් මෙහෙම යනකොට දැක්කොත් I have uncomfortable. Some of them you also have something like that. මට හරි අමාරු අත විවරනවා ලියන්නද. ඒකස රූල් කරනවා ඒකස කනාවට I don't have that space to sit. I sit in that side. One of my lecturer Science Jayathoka I respecting science with my F1 guru. My finance accounting guru. I නෑ එක මාර භාවනාවක් වගේ teaching. ඒ teaching කලාව නෑ. මටත් නෑ ඒක මාර කලාවක්. He is teaching for us like a very earlier business academy lecturer. Now he is working here. Most of the students lecturers came under him. Akila Gunaratna is also running. Akila is now very famous lecturer, and we all know. He also learned under Sangeet. And this we call F1 Guru K. F1 man Sangeet will be QA. But now our cards are active. So now එහෙම කාලේ කාලේ වෙනස් වෙනවා. It's a thing. Now he retired. Then now new person came. Now after the same. Anyways, it's one now. That's why I feel. මගේ ඒක වෙනස්. ඒක සමහරවිට I'm still I'm not in the market. මම සාපි වන මෙන්න එනවා. I'm coming. The one day I wanted to be a the P1 නම් ඉස්සර කියන එක. These are the people. I have a target now. You have a target. Come with the I have a target to come to the market with the highest. That's why I'm going to implement question book, mind map, paper transfer. I want you to put that. You are my promotion now. You know, then you are the people saying, unexpected ready P1 good. Why? I did something to you. Then you are going and saying, I am not specified in specializing in the Sigma P1 management account. I'm not specialized in the economics. But if they gave me the particular subject, I can take the responsibility and I can do. But I'm specialized. I'm right. I can. ගල්ලේ කෙටු වගේ ලියලා තිබ්බ management accounting. ඒක තමයි මගේ යුනිවර්සිටි එකේ මම විස්තර කරන්නේ. accounting and accounting finance we call management accounting all. මිනිස්සුන්ගේ තියෙනවා දෙයක් විතර. But if they give the economics, yes, I can do. But I'm not that much expert. Expert subject ගොඩක් expert දැන්. ඒක ගන්න. ඒ වගේ තමන්ගේ ජීවිතේ you have to develop something. But you decided to do the thing. Whether you like it or not, any level, you had to face the difficulties of foundation difficult you don't like that subject. When it comes to operation level, subject again. When it comes to the management level, you have an MCS. You don't like that. Sometimes F2 strategy level P3 risk management. එක level එකකින් එක give up කරා නම් එක level එකකින් එක රැඳෙන්නේ නැහැ. Second level, third level, fourth level, you have a difficult. But you selected SIMA to do, whether you like it or not. Why? You want to do. But inside during that period, you have your specified area. You are, let's say, you are very comfortable with accounting. F1, F pillar. Sometimes you are the expert in the M pillar, but you have to do the other pillars as well. Can't qualify. So every time have a plan, target. If not, go to the home today, go to today and search YouTube, SIMA, because I can't show that there's no projector to show, but my university sessions, I'm giving the motivation video because otherwise we can't. Make a motivation and can on. But during the SIMA P1 journey, you have to change your life. University students like it, you have to motivate. You feel very boring. දැන් ගෙදර ගියාම මම කියන්න වෙන දෙයක්. දැන් අද ගෙදර යනවා මහර මහන්සිට උදේ ඉඳන් ලෙක්චර්ස් ඊයේ තිබ්බනේ. ගින් කනවා. වර්ෂයක් දාලා කෑවට පස්සේ you feel very comfortable. weather situation එක පොඩ්ඩක් තියෙන්නේ. හරි සම්පූර්ණකම. අද නෑ එක කෙට බලනවා කියලා ප්‍රතිය දිනනවා. නැත්නම් කෝල් එකක් පිටින් කෝල් එකකට කියන මුස්කන් ඉඳනවා. නැත්නම් ගෙදරත් එක වැඩක් නැති ආත පාත ඌට කියවන්නේ. නෑ. ඒවල වෙලා නැත්නම් උඩුද මොකද කියන්නේ. ගුවා මොකද මේක ලේට් කරගන්න. මේ ටයිම් එකේ මම කියන්නේ. ඒ සීමා එකට ආස්තේ ටයිම් එකේ you have a contract between you. You have to know every unnecessary what value of it. මම වෙඩින් එකකට මල ගෙදරකට දාන ගෙදරකට ගිහින් නැහැ. මගේ lectures තියෙන දවසක class එකක තිබ්බේ මගේ නංගිගේ වෙඩින්නේ තිබ්බනම් මම ඒත් යන්නේ නැහැ. That much of I make my life because බොහොම අමාරුයි සල්ලි හොයන්නේ. මගේ අම්මයි තාත්තයි ගෙවන්නේ. ෆේල් වුණොත් කොහොමද?
කාගේද වෙඩින් එකක් ඉන්න මම මගේ සබ්ජෙක්ට් එක ෆේල් කරගත්තොත් ඒ විඩියෝස් වල මට වෙඩින් එකේ සල්ලි ලින්ක් දෙනවද? නෑ දෙන්නේ නෑ. I had to be selfish from myself. යාළුවෙක් කතා කළා හොත් මාෂා මට උදව්වක් කරන්න මේක කොහොමද කරන්නේ කියලා help them. ඔය ඒ අහන්නේ සබ්ජෙක්ට් මැටර් එකන්නේ. ඒක වාට ෂාප් වෙනවා. හොඳටම කියලා දෙන්න. යාළුවෙක් කෝල් කළොත් මචං අද ෆිල්ම් එකක් බලන්න යන්නද කොහේ හරි යන්න කිව්වද? යන්න එපා. You go I will come after I complete the SIMA. Then you can go. ෆිල්ම් එක බලලා ඇවිල්ලා එක්සෑම් එකට පාඩම් කරන්නේ දවසක හරි පැය ගානක් නැති වෙන්නේ. You have a comfortable. We humans are searching the comfortable zone. අපි හැම වෙලෙම comfortable zone එක හොයනවා. දැන් මම වුණත්. හැබැයි දෙපාරක් මම ඒ zone එකට යන්න කලින් අහනවා ඔයාට මේ ටාගට් එකට යන්න තියෙනව නේද? හිතන්න. I'm also thinking මමම තමයි මගේ contract එකේ තියෙන මාත් එක්කම. There are two fellows. One fellow is good fellow, second fellow is a bad fellow. ඒ දෙන්න අතර කම්පිටිලා bad fellow එක ගහලා එවන්න. good fellow එකෙන් ඇඩේ යන්න. හැම දෙයකම ඔයාලගේ ජීවිතේ not only for the SIMA හැම දෙයකටම ඉන්නවා යකෙක් කියලා එකෙක්. The devil is there. එයා ආගේ ගමන control කරනවා. Then I think both of you are Buddhists. You know when the Lord Buddha is coming to the Buddha, is that this thing? There's a lot of difficulties and these things happen. So හිතන්නකො ඒ එකකට දැන් අපි වගේ හිටියනම් මොකද වෙන්නේ? ඉරිමි කෙනෙක් දැන් මං කියන්නේ නේද? දැන් ඉන්න කට්ටියක දැන් ඉන්න කෙනෙක් නම් එක නැටුම් ආවා. නවතලේ නැගිලා යයි නටන්න. That actually this is the truth. I think you also know that because this is a religious ඕන එකක් හැමෝම දන්නවනේ. දැන් අර ගිනි අර මොකද මාර සේනාව ගිනි ගහන්න මොනවද කරන්නවා? අපි නම් මොකද බයිට බුදු අම්මු යනවා කියලා දුවනවා. නේ? බේර අපිට ඕක ඩිෆිකල්ටි එනවද? අපිට එච්චර ඇවිල්ලා නැහැ. හිතන්නේ ඒ වගේ. මම නම් මට හරි අමාරු වෙන කම්මැලි නිදිමත කියලා දැනෙන හැම වෙලෙම හිතන්නේ ඒ වගේ දේවල්. හිතලා YouTube එකේ ගිහලා මොටිවේට් වෙන්න ග්‍රැජුවේෂන් එක වීඩියෝ බලනවා. දැන් when I learn in my university time මම previous university එකේම ළමයි out වෙච්ච වීඩියෝ එක බලනවා. මොටිවේට් වෙනවා. ඒක ග්‍රැජුවේෂන් එක එලා ගන්නවා. SIMA graduation එක බලන්න. ඔය එකක් කරගත්තොත් අනිත් එක automatically යනවා. එකයි කරගන්න බැරුව මේ කියන්නේ. ඔයා දන්නවද ඒක? SIMA එක නවාගේ first learning එක දැන්. ඔක qualified වෙන්නකො මේ track එකේ ගිහිල්ලා. After that we don't want to tell any advices for you all. You know what to do. Why? You have a motive. හැම වෙලේම ගෙදර උපාධි photo එක දකිනවා. I did the SIMA. No, I'm a SIMA qualified person. No. දැන් ඔයා හදන්නේ මොකද්ද? මම තව එකක් කරන්න ඕනේ. මම ෂයින් වෙන්න ඕනේ. දැන් ඔන්න ඔයා විසින් තනියෙන් කරනවා. මේ ට්‍රැක් එකට එනකන් you are not going to think because you don't have anything නේ. ඔයාට මොකුත් නැහැ. ඔයා still reading. read කර ඉඳලා හරියන්නේ ඉවර කරගන්න ඕනේ. එදාට you will think the new things to work. ඔය වගේ foundation operation management strategy ඔක්කොම without postponing ගෙදර ගිහිල්ලා අද හිතන්න කොලයක් අරන් මම කිව්වේ මම I went to the Viharama Devi Park after the lectures because I want to think alone. ඒක හරි අමාරුයි එතන හිතන්න එතන couples යනවා එහෙම මේ. But anyways I ඇත්ත ගහනන්නේ මම කල්පනා කළා මේ මොකද කරන්නේ මොකද. මට maths බෑ මම maths එක comfortable වෙන්න මොකද කරේ? තාත්තගේ ඉන්න හොඳම ළමෙක් එයා maths expert එයාත් එක්ක කතා කරලා එයාගේ ළඟ ඉඳගත්තා. එයාත් grow වෙනවා මමත් එයාගේ ඉගෙන ගත්තා. Like that I did it. ඒ වගේ අපි improve වෙන්න ඕනේ. අපේ ජීවිතේ අපි සමහරවිට selfish වෙන්න ඕනේ. උදව් කරන්න ඕනේ. But we had to selfish කියන්නේ දැන් අර කොහේ හරි ගමනක් යනකොට ඔය යන්න නැතුව ඉන්න ඕනේ. වාට ටාගට් එකක් තියෙනවා. Please start studying now. මං හිතනවා ඔයගොල්ලෝ එක කරයි කියලා because you didn't do මොන ඔය වගේ reasons ඉඳලා you didn't do I guess. Not because of the time. කවදාකවත් කාට time නැහැ කියන්න බෑ. අපි හැමෝම time තියෙනවා. We have a lot of time. Sometimes if you have a boyfriend or girlfriend, you can do that. Some of the people are there අනේ මම relationship හදන්න යන්නේ නැහැ මට time නැහැ පාඩම් කරන්න කියලා. Come on ඒක හොඳයි. අන්තිම relationship හදාගෙනත් නැහැ පාඩම් කරලා දැන් දෙකම නැහැ. එහෙමත් වෙන අවස්ථා තියෙනවා. සමහර අය ඉන්න එහෙමත්. ඇයි මොකද්ද වැඩක් නැහැ නේ ජීවිතේ. why? ගෙදර යනවා කනවා බොනවා lectures අහනවා යනවා. No anything beyond that. Am I right? මේක වෙනස් කරගන්න ඕනේ. මේ දේ වෙනස් කරන්න ඔයාලගේ A level කරන කාලේ සර්ලත් කරන්නේ නැති කියන්නේ නැති මං නෑ කියන්නේ නැහැ. ඔයගොල්ලෝ ගිහලා classes වල A level කරන කාලේ මේක කියන දේ. I knew that because මමත් A level කරලා ආදී මොකද මට මගේ සර් වණ්ඩාර සානායක සක්කයා. මම කියන්නේ සර්ගෙන් economics business studies මගේ lectures ලා accounting හිටියේ PhD ජාවදන කුමුදු ලියනගේ හිටියා මං ගොඩක් classes ගියා A level වලට accounting subject එක. ඒ හැමෝම ඔක්කොම දේ තමයි කියන්නේ. ඉතින් අපි දැනුත් කියන්නේ ඒක දේ තමයි. ඇයි? අපි තෝක පාස් කරගෙන ආවනේ. මේ ජීවිතේ this life is very different. We are the humans. change කරගන්න thinking pattern එක. comfortable වෙන්න අදාළ තැන්වලදී එකකට contract එක ගැහුවොත් ඉවර වෙනකම් එක ගහන් යන්න. මොකද මේක එසේ මෙසේ කෙලියක් නෙමෙයි. A level නම් 3ක් 4ක් 5 පාරක් කරන්න පුළුවන් නොමිලේ. ටියුෂන් ක්ලාස් එකට එච්චර ගන්න නැහැ. ක්ලාස් එකට 1 month එක සබ්ජෙක්ට් වුණා 2500ක් විතර ගන්නේ. මේක ෆේල් වුණ පවුම් ගණන් වලින් යන්න තියෙන්නේ. ආයි නැහැ. අන්තිමට 4 5 වාර කරද්දි ගේ ඊඩම විකුණන්නත් වෙයි. ඇයි? You know this is not that much easy. හරි අමාරුයි. අම්මලා තාත්තලා කොහොමද මේව හොයන්නේ? අපි දන්නේ නැහැ නේ ඔක. අපි දන්නේ නැහැ. දැන් මගේ අම්මයි තාත්තා බොහොම අමාරුයි මට විදන් කළේ. මම හොඳට දන්නවා. මට හැම අමාරුවක් යනකොට මම ඒ දෙන්න පෙන්නන්නේ නැහැ. වගේ අම්මයි තාත්තා කවදාක ඔයාලට පෙන්නන්නේ නැහැ. Very difficult we are earning this much very එහෙමයි කියලා. නෑ they are giving the comfortable phase. But we knew there is something. ඒක ඔලුවට ගන්න. පොඩි ළමයි නෙමෙයිනේ දැන් අපි. We had to work. ඔයගේ අද ගෙදර ගිහිල්ලා ඉස්සෙල්ලාම හිතන්න ෆවුන්ඩේෂන් සබ්ජෙක්ට්ස් ටික. ප්ලෑන් එකක් ගහන්න. ඔය ප්ලෑන් එක ගහලා යනකොට ලෙක්චරර්ස්ලා ඉන්නවනේ මෙහි ඔය උගන්වපු කට්ටියම නැත්නම් අපිත් තියෙනවා MA එක නේ F එක මමත් ඕනනම් උදව් ගන්න. ඒ දන්න දේවල් අපින් අහන්න. ඒ will help you. No කවදාකවත් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට නෑ එච්චර යන්න කියන්නේ මෙහි ඇටිවර්ස් එකේ එහෙම කවුරුත් නෑ. කොහෙවත් නෑ. මිනිස්සු උදව් කරන්න කැමති. ඉගෙන ගන්න මිනිස්සුන්ට අර දෙන්න ඕන කෙනෙක් කැමති. ඉගෙන ගන්න නැති මිනිස්සුන්ට බනිනවා හැබැයි. ඉගෙන ගනින් කියලා. තම සමහරක් ඉන්න ඉගෙන ගන්නකොට යාළුවෝ ඉන්නවා ඉගෙන ගන්න වට කැමති නැති. එහෙමත් තමයි ජීවිතේ. අපේ ජීවිතේ හම්බ වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ හැමදේම බේරෙන්න. තමන්ට දෙයක් කරන්න. මේ කරන දේ තමන් කරන ඇයි? ඔයාලා තාම මෙඩිකල් වලත් නේ තාම ජොබ් එකක්වත් කරන්නේ නැහැ. තාම පොඩි ළමයි. You are very young. මේ මම හිතන්නේ 21 22 වගේ ඇති age. below 25 කොහොම හරි. 24 වලින් අඩුනේ. ඇයි මේවා කරන්න ඉගෙන ගන්න තැනකට යන්න. ජීවිතේ නහස්ත කරගන්න එපා. කරන්න මේ මම මේ ටයිම් එක ගත්තේ මොකද මට තේරෙනවා මේක මම අනිත් ක්ලාසස් වලත් ඔක කියනවා. පොඩ්ඩක් හරි දෙයක් ඔලුවට වෙදී කොයිලි හරි. ඒතර ගහන්න වැඩි. මේක තේරෙන දවසක් එනවා. දැන් නෙමෙයි. සීමා ඇනිලා qualification එකක් නැතුව you are planning to do something job whatever you will not get any job. You know currently there are high kind of competition for the job market. දැන් ඩිග්‍රී එක නෙමෙයි අහන්නේ මාස්ටර් එක කම්ප්ලීට් වෙන්න කියලා. මාස්ටර් එකක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. දැන් මේ ළඟදී මම ලෙක්චරර් මගේ පුත් ලෙක්චරර් කෙනෙක් මම දැන් කැම්පස් එකේ ඉන්රෝල් වෙලා ඉන්නවා. මට තව ඉනිකට යන්න ඕනේ නිසා you all my MNC and green university මම ඇප්ලයි කළා. මම MP එක දැන් ඉවරයි. මම රිසර්ච් PhD එක දැන් රීඩ් කරන්න ගන්න හදන්නේ. දැන් රීඩින් මම දැන් almost document submit කරලා තියෙන්නේ. මට interview එක කතා කළා. I went to the interview. I faced the audition because whatever the way experience lecture one, I had to do the lectures in front of the students and in front of the dean and lecturers. I did that. I passed that. Third decade කිව්වා මතා they are professors. You are not completed the PhD yet ne. So therefore this position we can't allow to you. ඉස්සරහට MBA එකක් නෙමෙයි ඕන මනුස්සයට PhD එකක් තියෙන්නේ වෙයි. ජොබ් මාකට් එක දැන් මම ලෙක්චරර් කෙනෙක්. දැන් වෙන කෙනෙක් ගියාගෙන දැන් ජොබ් එකකට කෝපරේට් මං ඇහුවා. සීමා එකක් තියෙන්න ඕනෙමයි. ACC complete වෙන්න ඕනේ. සීමා completed වෙන්න ඕනේ. Along with the සීමා should have a academic qualification. MBA නැත්නම් මේ ඩිග්‍රී එකක් තියෙන්න ඕනේ. entrance job එක සමහරට 50000 වලින් පටන් ගන්න job එකක්. Without සීමා whatever after A level you can do somewhere else. grocery එක වැඩ කරලා පොඩි තැනක වැඩ කරලා නම් කරන්න පුළුවන්. We don't want to go that නේ. හොඳ කම්පැනි එකකට ගිහිල්ලා ජීවිතේ පටන් ගන්න ඕනේ. දැන් කවදාකවත් ඔතන ඔයගොල්ලෝ හැමෝගෙම කවුරුත් ජොබ් එකක් කරන්න ඉන්නවනේ හිතන් ඉන්නවනේ. නැත්තේ නෑ. අනිවාර්යෙන් කරන්න ඉන්නවනේ. වයි බඳින්න තියෙනවා. මම ඇත්ත කියන්නේ. කවදා හරි බඳින්න නෑ. අම්මයි තාත්තලා තනියෙන් කොහොම කළා හැකිද? බෑ. can't do නේ. Some of the people can. Rich people can. But මගේ ජීවිතේ බෑ. මගේ කට්ටිය වෙනවා. මම තනියෙන් කරගත්තොත් මම මගේ නංගි වෙඩින් එකලේ මම. I did that. Because my parents are not that much rich. Based on that, me and my sister, we did that. Yeah, lawyer කෙනෙක්. Yeah, did that. He's a teacher also, and she saves some particular money. අර දැක්කනේ. Yeah, job එකලා ඉතුරු කරගත්තා. මම මගේ වෙන තැන දාලා ඔයාගේ එක කරා. කවදාක පේරෙන්නේ. ඔයා දැන් ඇයි? එයාලා දුවලා රේස් එක ඔයාලට බැට් එක දෙනවා. දැන් ඔයාලා දුව බලලා. අපිට මහන්සි. අන්න ඉතින් ඉස්සරහ ඉන්න පිටලෙන් කරනවා. ඒක ඉතින් බලන්න. දුව බලලා දැන් කරා බලලා.
Hey, we had to run. We had to run and මාර වැඩක් එක්ක. ඒ ඒගොල්ලෝ කවුරුත් කෙනෙකුට ඒක සමුනේ නැහැ. ඔයා යෝ වෙනකොට යාලා එන්නේ නැහැ මයත් යනවා. බෙහෙත් එක ගන්න. අල්ටර්නේටිව්යක් වුණාම කරන්නේ. කොහෙන්ද කරන්නේ? ඔයා එක්සෑම් කරලත් නැහැ. ඔයාට සීමා එක්සෑම් කරන්න සල්ලි කොහෙන්ද අර මිනිස්සු ලෙඩ වුණාද තියෙන්නේ? ඔය එතන තැන එනවා දවසක. මම එකයි කිව්වේ තාම නැහැ. එදාට එනකොට අඬන්න එපා. ඇයි? මම වේත් කරන ටයිම් කියලා මම හිතන්නේ. ඒක එතනට යන්න එපා. අද ඉඳන් හිතා අලුත් ප්ලෑන් එකක් හදා ගන්න. ඕන සබ්ජෙක්ට් එකකට. ඒ මිනිස්සු ලෙඩ වෙනකොට වාට සල්ලි නැහැනේ. ඒ සල්ලි ටික ඉන්න තේ මිනිස්සු බලන්න. අන්තිමට එඩියුකේෂන් නිකුත් නැහැ. දවසක් ගියාම මේ මිනිස්සු නැති වෙනවා. මම කියන්නේ හැමෝම ඉන්නේ. මගේ අම්මා තාත්තට කොහොමද නැති. මේ ජීවිතේ මනස ජීවිතයනේ. එතකොට මොකද වෙන්නේ? ඔයා බැඳලත් නැහැ. ඉගෙන ගත්ත දෙයක්වත් නැහැ. රස්සාවත් හරියන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද වෙන්නේ? පිටුපැය දෙනවා. ඇත්ත.
Think that. Think twice. Work hard. I know very difficult. චුට්ටක් පුරුදු වෙන්න. ඉස්සෙල්ලාම පාඩම් කරලා ඉගෙන ගන්න කලින් learn how to study. ඒකයි වෙන්න ඕනේ. දැන් මෙතන මේ කරන්නේ ටීච් කරන එක විතර නෙවෙයි. මම ටීච් කරන ගමන් කියනවා how to study learn. මේ ජෙනරේෂන් එක එහෙමයි. මම මේ ළඟදී කොළඹ යුනිවර්සිටි එකේ දේශනයකට ගියා. එතකොට මම ඔක කිව්වා. යුනිවර්සිටිස් එනවා A level කරගෙන. ආවට පස්සේ second year third year ළමයි පිස්සු කරන්නේ. හැබැයි first year enroll වෙන්නේ හොඳ bullets. තම බුලට් එන්නේ. ඇයි A level කරනවා කියන්නේ ලේසි නෑ මේ. අපේ රටේ exam තමයි ලේසි අමාරුම exam. not easy, difficult exam එක. A level කියන්නේ අමාරුම exam එක. එහෙනම් මොළ එන්නේ කැම්පස් එකට. උන් ඇවිල්ලා ගෑල් ළමයි පවා නන්නත්තර වෙනවා. I had some counseling session for them as well. එක ගෑල් ළමයෙක් ඉන්න කොහෙද පොළොන්නරුවේ ඉඳන් ඇවිල්ලා තියෙන්නේ. එන්න මාසරණයි. ඉන්න තැනකුත් නෑ. පැල් පොල් මේ මැටි ගහපු ගයක් තියෙන්නේ. අර අම්මයි තාත්තා කුලි වැඩ කරලා උගන්වලා තියෙනවා. I went to that place as well because of that her situation. I went with her because පොළොන්නරුව oh my god when you look at ඔයගොල්ලෝ අඬයි මට කඳුළුත් ආවා ඒක දැකලා. මට ඔය සමහර sessions මට time නැත්නම් ඔන්න ඕකයි. මම යනවා මට යන්න වෙනවා ඒවයි. මම ඒක because of not because of සල්ලි මනේ ඒකට beyond ගිහිලා උදව් කරනවා. ඒක මගේ project එකක් විදිහට මගේ project එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒ projects වලට මම ඒක උදව් කරනවා මිනිස්සුන්ට. මම ඒවා හැබැයි publish කරන්නේ නැහැ. Why I should I publish because ඒක අසරණ මිනිස්සු එළියට දාලා publish වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. But I'm giving. මට පුළුවන් මම help කරනවා. I went that ඉන්න හිටින්න තැනක් නැහැ. මට මතක් වුණා බුදුහාමේ මමත් ඔයගේ හිටියනම් කොහොමද කියලා. දැන් ඔයිට පොඩි වෙනස තියෙන මම චුට්ටක් අර මුළු තිබ්බ ගියක් තිබ්බා. ඒ තැන මනත් ලොකු තිබ්බ දෙයක් නැහැ. මගේ අම්මයි තාත්තෝ ගන්නත්. දැන් මේ මිනිස්සුන්ට ඒකත් නැහැනේ. වැස්ස මේ වගේ වැස්ස වෙලාවකට මිනිස්සු ඉන්න බැහැලු ගෙදර. පන්සලට ගිහලා ඉන්නේ. පන්සලේ දාන මාඩුවද මොකද කියන්නේ දාන මාඩුව? බණශාලාවේ ඉන්නේ. can't stay. මේ වගේ වැස්සක් නැහැ මේ ගියේ දැන් වැස්ස දැක්කනේ. ආයි නේ මහලා කැඩලේ. මැටි ගහපු මාර අමාරුයි. කන්න නැහැලු. එක වේලලු කන්නේ. එහෙම කළත් A level කරලා ඇවිල්ලා තියෙනවා කැම්පස් එකට. සෙකන්ඩ් ඉයර් එකේදී කොල්ලෙක් එක යාළු වෙලා නන්නත්තර වෙලා. මොලේ මොනවා වුණාද කියලා හිතා ගන්න බෑ. අර අරමුණ තිබ්බා ඉන්න. අන්තිමට නන්නත්තර. ඔක්කොම qualifications මේ grades ටික අඩු කරගෙන subjects වල මම ওই කැම්පස් ගලන් ගියාම ලිස්ට් එකක් ගිල්ල ගන්නවා වගේ. I want to help at least එක්කෙනෙක් හරි හැදෙනවනේ. මට ඔක්කොම හදන්න අමාරුයි. මම එක්කෙනෙක් හරි ගොඩ දානවනේ. මට බෑ මුළු සමස්තයම කරන්න. මං කියනවා. එකෙක් හරි හැදෙනවනේ. I got the list. එහෙම වෙලා තියෙනවා. මොකද කොල්ලත් එක රවුම් ගාලා ඒ කොල්ලා කැම්පස් එකේ කිව්වොත් නෙමෙයි කොළඹ බෝඩ් වෙලා ඉන්නේ ළමයා. මේ ගෑල් ළමයා. පොළොන්නරුවේ ඉඳන් ඉන්න බෑනේ හැමදාම. ඉතින් මොකද කරන්නේ? එතන ඉන්න එක්කෙනා ඕමේදී යනකොට එක්ක පිරිමි ගෑල් ළමයෙක් එක යාළු වෙනවා තමයි. එහෙම වෙනව නැත්තේ නෑ. එන ලෙඩන්නේ. but සමහර මිනිස්සු ඉන්නවනේ එක જાති. we don't know නේ. අපිට කාලා බල්ලා ගන්න. ඒක මිනිස්සු ගෑල් ළමයා කියන කට්ටිය ලව් කරද්දී ඒක extreme level යනවා. it's the truth. ඒ මිනිස්සු ඒක ගිහිලා වැරදෙනවම මේ මිනිස්සු කරන්න දෙයක් නෑ. ආදරයට හැමදේම අන්ධ වෙනවා. ඇත්තම ඒක. ස්පෙෂලි බොයිස් වලට ගර්ල්ස් හරියට අන්ධ වෙනවා. මම ඒක පර්සනලි මම දන්නවා. මාරද ගෑන් ළමයි අන්ධ වෙනවා ආදරේද මම දැක්ක මිනිස්සුත් එක්ක. කොච්චර උගත්කම තිබ්බත් ඩිග්‍රී පිටට PhD තිබ්බත් එහෙමයි. එහෙම වෙන අවස්ථා තියෙනවා. හරි කෙනා හොයා ගන්න ඕනේ. ඒක වැරදිට එනවා නම් ටග්ග ලයින් එන්න. ජීවිතේ නාස්ති වෙන මිනිස්සුන්ගේ. මම ඕක ওই දින ඒගොල්ලන්ට කිව්වා. I done some of the sessions for them and her, especially for her. දැන් ඔන්න ආයේ මේ මිනිස්සු ඔලුව උස්සගෙන සුයිසයිඩ් කරගන්න ලෙවල් එකට ඇවිල්ලා. ඒ ළමයට බැඳ ගන්න මං හිතන්නේ පුළුවන් ඒ ඉතින් but person should be understandable. ඒ ළමයට පොඩි ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙලා තියෙනවා. can't do it මොනවා ඌ හොයාගන්නත් මේ මිනිස්සු. ඔය කොළඹ කැම්පස් එකේ මේ එක මිනිස්සු ළමයෙක්ව මැරුවේ බෙල්ල කපලා. මේ උගත් මිනිස්සුනේ. ඉගෙන ගන්න ඉන්නේ උගත් මිනිස්සුනේ. ඒ මොකද? psychological issue. ඔන්න ඔකේ ප්‍රශ්නේ. ඕක හදා ගන්න ඕනේ. මොකද අපි ඩිජිටලයිස් එකට පුරුදු වෙලා මේ හැම වෙලේම කන කොටයි හරි වොෂ්රූම් එකට යන කොටයි සමහරවම වොෂ්රූම් උත් අරන් යනවා. මමත් සමහරවල් අරන් යනවා not because of the මේ Facebook යන්න. මම ලෙක්චර්ස් දෙන සමහර ලෙක්චර් එකක් ෂෙඩියුල් වෙනස් වුණොත් ඌ කෝල් කරලා ඉන්නවා මගේ රේට් එක ගන්න මම බොහොම ඕනේ නා මට රේට් එක බෑ. මේකට හගස් කරලා කරන මම කෝල් එක ෆෝන් එක අරන් යනවා. දැන් අපේ අය මොකද නිදා ගන්න එකත් ෆෝන් එක ඒ කියන්නේ උදේ නැගිටිනවත් දකින්න ඉස්සෙල්ලාම ෆෝන් එක. රැයට නිදා ගන්න ඉස්සෙල්ලාම අන්තිම දකින්නෙත් ෆෝන් එක. එහෙමනේ වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. ඔය ටික වෙනස් කරගන්න ඉගෙන ගන්න ස්ටඩීස් වලට ફોකස් දෙන්න. එතකොට ෆවුන්ඩේෂන් එක්සෑම් පෙන්ඩින් ඒවද ඔපරේෂන් පෙන්ඩින් whatever you have pendings you can ignore. You can grow. Think. දැන් හිතන්න යන්න එපා. දැන් බෑ. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැන් කන්ෆියුස් වෙලා මොකද්ද කරන්නේ මොකද්ද? Go home before you sleep. Switch off the lights. ඇඳලා ඇවිල්ලා හිතන්න what should I do? ඔක්කොම මොබයිල් ෆෝන් ඔක්කොම අයින් කරලා දාන්න. ෆෝන් ඔෆ් කරලා කමන්නේ. නැත්තම් මේ ජීවිතේ ගොඩ යන්න බෑ. හැම වෙලේම ඔලුව තියාගන්න ඕන මනුස්සයෙක් ජීවිතේ උඩ යන්න පුළුවන් දියුණු වෙන්න පුළුවන් එකම දේ එකම ආයුධය ස්ටඩීස් විතරයි. තේපොළ සල්ලි රිචස් ෆැමිලි එකක බෝයිෆ්‍රෙන්ඩ් කෙනෙක් ඉඳලා ඒත් බෑ. ගර්ල්ෆ්‍රෙන්ඩ් කෙනෙක් ඉඳලා ඒත් බෑ. තමන්ට දෙයක් කරගත්තොත් තමන් ගොඩේ. සමහරට හොඳට ඉගෙනගෙන තැනකට ගියොත් කොච්චර අපි දුප්පත් වුණත් සමහර විට අපිට ඒ ලෙවල් එකට එන්න ආවට පස්සේ උගත්කමට හොඳ කෙනෙක් ලැබෙන්න පුළුවන් සල්ලි තියෙන මිනිස්සේ. ආදරේ තියෙන. ඒ හැමදේම ලැබෙන්න නම් start එක වෙන්න ඕනේ education මයි. If you are not focusing on that, you will not get a chance to win. හැමදාම සදා සොත්ති බවන්තු තමයි. You have to work hard. So I wanted to give that special these things because මේවා හම්බෙන්නේ නැහැ දෙන්න වේදියන්නේ. You have to think. හරි? Right. Anyways, my online parcels you might මොකද්ද මේ බණ දේශනාව කියලා සුමතුර ධර්ම දේශනාව. මේක තමයි truth. This is the truth. Right. So the now material cost variance, labor cost variance done and dusted, and the variable overhead cost variance again. We focus again main three formulas. The one we call total variable overheads cost variance. The second we learn variable overheads, expenditure variance. The third one we learn variable overheads, efficiency variance. So these kind of subvariances you have learned under variable overhead cost variance. When it comes to the fixed overheads cost variance, you learn the mainly again three. We call total fixed overheads cost variance. And second, we learn fixed overhead expenditure variance. Fixed overhead expenditure variance. Fixed overhead expenditure variance. And the third one, you might learn fixed overheads, volume variance. Under fixed overhead volume variance, did you remember you have learned the two subvariances under that? Overhead volume variance එක ඇතුලේ තව variance දෙකක් ඉගෙන ගත්තා. Remember? We call the capacity variance. Fixed overheads, capacity variance. And then you learn the fixed overhead or fixed overheads efficiency variance. These are we call hourly based. Then finally, when you are coming to the sales variance, you are focused to learn main two variances called sales volume variance. And then you learn under that sales price variance. So when it comes to sales volume variance, you might learn the point called under sales volume variance, there is three variances, type 1, 2, and 3. We call sales, volume, profit variance. Sales, volume, profit. Then second, sales, volume, contribution variance. Third, sales, volume, price. That's sales volume, selling price variance. Sales volume, selling price variance. So these are the structure you learn under SIMA BA2. And here again, we are going to learn these things one by one with the very fundamental question, After that, you will learn the advanced variances. So I think there are how many variances on the foundation? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, this is 13, and then sub-variances we can say 14, 15, and this volume variances we can say 15, 16, 17, 18, and then 19. So fundamental variances, 19 variances we had to cover. So we had to remember. Also, we had to work with the other new variances, material planning, operational, and mixed variance, yield, sales mix. Altogether, you will learn something closer to 30 variances. Don't worry about how to remember the formula. I will teach you one by one with the tips. There are different tips to focus. Hello. Right, done. Okay. Now let's start with the our explanations, discussions one by one now. We have to focus about the material cost variance first. Before that, I wanted to teach how to remember these all formulas without memorizing. So we have a tips called, one of the tip is there. So how to use that? There is a general formula. We can develop the main three general formulas, which is applicable to these all variances. So based on that, you can structure. So when you are practicing the questions, you can write the exact formula, the long formula, and do the practice smart, because then you can have a you can automatically memorize the formula. So there are mainly three types of general formulas. I think last week I discussed that one up to that point, but now since today is a new day, I want to again recap this. The first one we call total cost variance. Total cost variance. We call total cost variance. And then we call the second one price rate expenditure, price rate expenditure variance. Third one we can say usage efficiency, volume, usage efficiency, volume variance. Usage efficiency and the volume variance. When it comes to the total cost variance, you can construct the formula like that. We call standard cost per unit multiplied with the actual volume, actual unit produced. This total need to be removed from the actual cost incurred. This is the main general formula applicable to all the 19 variances. And when it comes to price rate expenditure variance, you can have a formula standard rate minus actual rate into actual quantity applicable to the whatever formula you have. When it comes to usage efficiency volume variance, here we can have a formula standard quantity per unit need to be multiplied with the actual units, නැත්නම් actual volume, and minus actual quantity and then multiplied with the standard rate. So this is we call usage efficiency volume. This is we call price rate expenditure. This is we call total cost variance. So these formulas are the general formula. You can apply this general formula for your other subvariances. When you are calculating the other subvariances, yes, you can apply. So very easy to remember these three. Make a padanna. You can do other all subvariances without any issue. Right. Right. So now come to the page number 34. 34. Question, not question, example number 1 under cost variance, material variance. So page number 34, example number 1. Let's do this all the computation with the very basic question until we comfortable with the formula. So after that, we are going to do the big questions. So here they started like the cost variances, material variances. Under cost variance, the material variance, there is a price variance, usage variance. We know the total cost variance. So now we have to write the topic called material material cost variance. Material cost variance. Under that, we have a heading, a subtopic called, first one, we have to compute total material cost variance. So now you remember under general formula, we discuss and we work with, we wrote that standard cost per unit with the actual volume, we call the total standard. Why standard? The name standard. Why do you want to multiply standard cost or whatever standard rate with the actual volume? Why is that? If you multiply the standard rate with the budgeted volume to compare with the actual, that's not a point. This is actually the standard rate with the actual volume we call this is a flexible. So all the management accountants say, because you have a flexible budgeting as well in going forward under budgeting. So all the management accountants said, right, if you are using the standard cost to multiply with the budgeted amount to compare with the actual and to you to calculate the variance called variances, there is no point of calculating the variances, adverse or favorable. Why? Budgeted volume not our deal. We know we have almost actual figures now. We want to know how about our rate we expected, the estimated rate. We want to penalize why this happened this much, because what is the actual rate comparison and actual rate fluctuations. Sometimes when we are preparing the budget or the estimation or the standards, you didn't even listen, you didn't even see the current market situation. In the current market situation, you have a inflation because of the economic downturn and the other kind of the taxation incremental and all. You didn't consider that. You didn't even see that. Without that, you consider to set up the standard rate. When you are coming to the actual rate is very higher when the computation like the cost variances. Why? Because actual market, they had to bear the cost for the inflation, the taxation, the capital expenditure, whatever. All this. That's why they said, right, our fluctuation, our main focus is not to the budgeted volume. Therefore, you have to consider the comparison between the flexible with the actual, not the budgeted with the actual. But when it comes to the fixed overhead cost variance, we are going to touch with the budgeted. But all the variances, we are going to penalize with the standard or estimated rate with actual volume. That's why when you are calculating the total material cost variance, we learned the general formula. There is a standard cost per unit into actual volume minus actual cost incurred. Now, by using that short formula, you can write the long formula, which is relevant to the material cost variance. How? We can say standard direct material cost per unit. This is the predetermined rate per unit multiplied with actual number of units produced or whatever, and minus actual direct material cost incurred. Not the actual direct material total cost incurred. See, by using the general formula, we constructed this big formula. No anything coming from outside because we use the same words given in the formula. So based on that, we develop. So in other words, simply, you are going to compare total standard with the actual cost, the flexible and actual comparison. So now, this is the formula. No? We didn't read the question. No? Page number 34, example question number 1, we have a explanation note. Budgeted production in 2012, 10,000 volume. ඒ කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? budgeted production volume එක දීලා තියෙනවා. Standard cost card, within bracket they given the material per unit. 5 kilograms at $8 per kilogram. They call $40 per unit. What does this mean? $40 per unit කියලා කියන්නේ ඔයාගේ standard cost per unit එක. මෙතන $8 per kilogram කියන්නේ ඔයාගේ standard rate එක, standard price per kilogram. And here 5 kilograms mean your standard quantity per unit එක. So you all know you to calculate the standard material cost particular cost per unit now, you have to multiply the standard quantity per unit with the standard rate per quantity. Then you might get the standard cost per unit. This is we call budgeted standard cost card under that. And then comes to actual production volume. You have a 12,000 volume, which is actual units you produce. And then actual materials are there. 57,600 kilograms. What does that mean? 57,600 kilograms we call actual material usage, නැත්නම් actual material purchases. And cost in $469,440. So now tell me, while looking at this actual material, this figure, can you tell me what about my standard material price per kilogram kiyada? Sorry, not standard. Actual material price per kilogram kiyada? How to calculate actual material price per kilogram? How to calculate? My online participants also can provide the answer. Actual material price per kilogram එක කීයද? Actual material price per kilogram. How much? Zara Ahmed, hope you can hear me. I mean, just to double check. I want to check that. Right. Yes, Zara. Got it. How much? Something called 8.15. Very good. Correct. Did you get the 8.15? How? Total actual cost you divided by the total actual kilograms purchase. නැත්නම් use කරපු kilogram. ඒතර එනවා actual price එක per kilogram. ඔන්න කතාව. ඒකත් ගත්තා. අපිට ඉස්සරහට ඕන වෙනවා. So now they request us to calculate the total direct material cost variance. අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් total කියලා. Total direct material cost variance. So now here we have the structured area called standard direct material cost per unit. The standard direct material cost per unit kiyada dollars. Standard direct material cost per unit kiyada dollars. 40. $40 multiplied with the actual number of unit produced. How much? Which is 12,000 units. 12,000. Then minus actual direct material total cost incurred already given. $469,440. 469,440. So this into this, I guess, 480,000, I guess. $480,000. So now tell me what about the answer? Without considering the variance type, tell me the numbers difference between these two. 480,000 ආවේ මේක වැඩි කරලා මේකට මේකෙන් මේ දෙකේ වෙනස කීයද? 10,500. 10,560. Okay. 10,560. Agreed. Yes, Sarah, correct answer. Thank you. So now how can you decide this is adverse or this is favorable? How can you confirm? For that, we can't comply with the calculator given answer. Then some of you can decide when you are doing the exam. So make a hurry lazy ne calculator කරාට පස්සේ ඒකේ plus නම් plus දුන්නොත් favorable, minus නම් minus දුන්නොත් adverse. සමහර වෙලාවට can be work, but don't depend with the calculator given sign, and based on that, don't decide the adverse or favorable unless you will use the marks for the this kind of very easy question. Here we want the number, not the plus minus. Calculator given whatever sign or whatever, forget about that. Take the number and put it. Now we are going to do how to decide in logically. See, your standard cost take a 480,000 unit you expected, but actually you spend high the low the are doing ne. එතකොට ඇත්තටම හොඳයි නේද? හිතුවේ මෙච්චරක් ඇත්තට මෙච්චරයි ගියේ. මේ actual result එක. Actually මම material වලට total මට ගියේ cost එක මෙච්චරයි. හැබැයි අපි හිතුවා මෙච්චර ගාණක් යයි කියලා. Standard rate එක දාලා. ඇත්තට මේක හොඳයි නේ. We call shape නේ. The we call which is adverse the favorable. හොඳයි නම් මොකද කියන්නේ? Favorable. මේක අනිත් පැත්ත වුණා නම් අන්න අපි කියනවා adverse, unfavorable, not favorable. Here මගේ standard cost එකේ total එක 480,000. මම හිතුවා rate එක expected rate එකක් දාලා actual volume දාලා anyways flexible තමයි. Flexible cost එක. ඒත් මට ඇත්තට I spend actual cost is very low than this. So then I call which is favorable. So we call favorable, FAV. මෙහෙම දැම්ම නම් හරි. Then your examination you might get something called the table. You have to click on the arrow and then it's going to be display the favorable, adverse like that. මෙහෙම තියෙනවා. You have to write that. You have to write that නෙමෙයි, you have to select that. Computer base එකේ වැහනේ ලියන්න. $10,560. So now we are done with that. Understood? Clear? My online participants, hope you Ahmad and Sahara okay with that? Clear, no? Let's do the, yeah, very good. So let's do the next question, next computation requirement. They want you to calculate the direct material usage variance according to that. So let's do according to their requirement. See. Right. So now we are going to write the next second requirement under material cost variance, which is we call direct material usage variance. Remember, under general formula number 3, we call standard quantity per unit into actual volume minus actual quantity into the standard rate. We can apply to this with a detailed manner. How? They call usage variance, right? Standard kilograms. That's we call standard quantity. Then in this case, we have a kilograms, no? Liters, na liters. Like that. Standard kilograms per unit need to be multiplied with actual units produced, actual units produced, and then minus actual materials ඔන්න හොඳ point එක. මේක හොද්දක් බලන්න. දැන් සාමාන්‍ය when you are working with this usage variance kind of the computation, if they want you to calculate the usage variance, here your actual materials quantity should be the used amount. I use කරන්නේ වනිකනේ. When you are calculating the material price variance, that material actual price quantity you use, not the use, it should be the purchase. Rate එකක් ගෙවන්නේ purchase කරද්දි. Usage එක බලන්න කොච්චර use කළාද actually. සමහර questions වල quantity used and the purchase are same amount. Therefore, no need to worry about that. Therefore, I'm going to write actual material and kilograms used or purchased need to be multiplied with the standard direct material price per kilogram. Standard direct material price per kilogram. So done with that usage variance. So now standard kilograms per unit, how much? How about my standard direct material, standard kilograms per unit? Yes. Yeah, 5 kilograms per unit. So 5 kg per unit. Into actual volume kiyada 12,000 you produce, right? මේ දෙක වැඩි කළාම එනවා standard total quantity එක. Minus what about my actual material use or purchase? For 57,600 kilograms, and then multiplied with the standard direct material price per kilogram, which is already given $8 per kilogram. 5 into 12,000, which is we call 60,000 kilogram, which is we call standard material used. This is actual. Difference need to be value. And without considering the rate value or what, adverse or favorable, tell me the number. Ignore the calculator given sign. Tell me the number. 9,200, eh? 9,200. 19,200. Agreed? Yes. Thank you, Sahara. Correct. Great. Others, you got the same? Yeah. 19,200 after you having this difference between 60,000 and 57,600, and then need to be multiplied with the 8. 19,200. So, yeah, first calculate this. Then I will train you how to think logically this one as well. Don't depend with the calculator given plus or minus sign. Same, no? Yeah. Now, how to decide adverse or favorable? See, standard kilogram used are this much. Have actually used material එක ඇවිල්ලා 57,600. මෙච්චරක් තමයි ඇත්තටම ගන්න. එතකොට කියන්න බලන්න ඇත්තට use කරපු. So you use the actually this much of things, no? The actual usage is very lower than you expected. එතකොට when you are producing the particular product, එහෙම හිතන්න logically. Because OCS එක ඇවිල්ලා think practical thinking. මේ ඒවා එන්න පුළුවන්. මේ technical පැත්ත අහන්න පුළුවන්. When you are producing the particular product, if you use some particular materials with a lowest usage amount or lowest usage quantity, then we can say actually they don't have a wastage. use කරපු ප්‍රමාණය අඩු කියන්නේ wastage එකක් නැහැනේ. එතකොට usage variance එක නැත්තම් මේක එක අතකින් කියන efficiency එකක්ම තමයි. You have a good efficiency. අඩුවෙන් use කළා තියෙන්නේ. That's good. We can say favorable. මේක favorable. ඇයි හොඳයිනේ අඩුවෙන් පාවිච්චි කළානේ. මට මේ units ගාණක් හදන්න දැන් for example they call නේ actual 12000 volume හදනවා කියලා. actual 12000 volume හදන්න they use this much of kilograms. ගොඩක් අඩුයි. හැබැයි අපි හිතුවා 60000ක්වත් යයි කියලා. පොඩි ගාණක් අඩුයි. ඒක හොඳයි. මම දැන් hint එකක් දෙන්න. when it comes to the price variance බලන්නකො අනිවාර්යෙන් adverse variance එකක් එන්නේ ඔගේ. ඒක මම without calculating we can tell. why? higher quality එකක් තියෙන materials ගත්ත නිසා you produce this particular production with the lowest usage because no wastage. ඇයි? හොඳ quality products. හැබැයි මේ materials හොඳ quality materials ගන්න නම් you have to pay the higher rate you expected. අර අපි කියන්නේ ලාභ ඒවා අඩුවෙන් ගන්නවා නම් ඒවා quality ප්‍රශ්න. expensive one නම් quality එක extreme level. Definitely material price variance එක they might give the adverse variance. We'll see. Understood about this? Clear? Any doubt? Right. Yeah. Sarah and Ahmad, all good, no? Right. So let's do the computation for the third one under material cost variance. Material price variance. Direct material price variance. Direct material price variance equal difference between the standard direct material price per kilogram minus standard direct material price per kilogram minus actual අපි අර කලේ මොකද standard rate minus actual rate into actual quantity මේකම තමයි detail ලියනවා standard direct material price per kilogram minus actual direct material price per kilogram need to be multiplied with the same as it is actual direct material usage or purchase in kilograms. Then here we have a standard direct material price per kilogram is $8. But we don't know actual price per kilogram, but we calculated. I would like to recommend don't write the decimal one, just put the numerator and all. Then you can go with the formula with the calculate. Then you can get the rounding off exact figure. Unless computer based number there are high chance to lose a marks. So I will tell you how. So what about my total actual direct material cost? 469,000. Divide by material usage කොච්චරද? kilogram එක 57,600 kg. Again multiplied with actual quantity 57,600. මේක මේ විදිහට දැන් we know anyways මෙතන එනවා 8.15 කියලා ගාණක්. මම කිව්වේ ඒකනේ. මෙතන හොඳ වුණ හින්දා මේ රේට් එක වැඩිපුර you paid නේ. අර මම කිව්වේ හොඳ quality එකට වැඩිපුර ගෙවනවා කියලා. මේ අනිවාර්යයෙන් මේක adverse එකක් එන්නේ. But without taking this decimal number, do this computation as a formula. එතකොට you can get the whole number. The round වෙච්ච number එකක් එනවා. මොකද මේකේ හදන්න පුළුවන් විදිහක් තියෙනවා. You can if you have a calculator වෙනස් then මේකේ මේ decimal number එක දාන්න නැතුව අපිට කරන්න පුළුවන් exam එකේ මොකද ඒගොල්ලෝ exam engine එක හදලා තියෙන්නේ some particular setup එකක්. අපිට එන rate එක තියෙන්නේ නැත්නම් අපිට case. අපි select කරන්න විතර වෙනත් එකක්. මේම bracket open කරලා මේ තියෙන එක වැඩ කරනවා. bracket එක open කරන්න. 8 කියලා දාන්න minus ඊට පස්සේ මේ අර numerator සින්නේ තියෙනවනේ. ඒක 469 sorry 469 440 469 440 divide by 57600 එක පල්ලෙහාට දැම්මා. මේ bracket එක වැහුවා. multiplication again 57600 උත්තරේ එනවා 8640. කිසිම ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැතුව උත්තරේ එනවා. හැබැයි don't depend with the plus or minus. ඒක මත adverse favorable කියලා හිතන්න යන්න එපා. At the exam, do like that. If they didn't give the rate like this, you have to work. 8760 නේ ආවේ 87 60 නේ නෑ 8760 8640 8640 මේ 8640 එක they gave the minus sign but we are not going to depend with the calculator given sign no. So here ඔන්න බලන්න කිසි ප්‍රශ්නයක් නෑ සමාන calculator given දෙන එකත් හරියනවා but we have to be logical. Your actual rate එක වැඩි your expected rate එකට වඩා. එතන මොකද වෙන්නේ? වැඩිපුර ගෙවලානේ. ඒක උනේ that's why මෙතන එකක් අවුල් වෙනකොට මෙතන එකක් හොඳ වෙනවා. ඇයි? හොඳ රේට් එකක් ගෙව්වා වැඩිපුර. ඒකින්ද usage එක අඩු වුණා. wastage එක නැහැ. මෙතන adverse. That's why we can say adverse. ඔය calculator එකේ කරන්න බෑ. ඒකේ මෙහෙමයි කරන්නේ. ඕකේ ඔය සීන් එක දාන්න බෑ. ඕකේ කරන්න තියෙන්නේ මෙහෙම වැඩ. ඕකේ කරන්න තියෙන්නේ මේකේ හරියමනේ මේකේ කරන්න තියෙන අර මෙහෙම යන ෆ්ලෝ එකේ දැන් බ්‍රැකට් දෙකක් දාමු 8 එක දැම්ම මයිනස් ඊට පස්සේ නෑ බ්‍රැකට් දැනෙම එකක් දාමු 8 මයිනස් ඔන්න බ්‍රැකට් එක ඕපන් කරනවා නෑ සෝරි බ්‍රැකට් දෙකක් දාන්න මොකද අතර අතරට දෙන්න 8 මයිනස් again බ්‍රැකට් එක ඕපන් කරලා 469 440 divide by 57600 ඔන්න ක්ලෝස් බ්‍රැකට් කළා ආය බ්‍රැකට් එක ක්ලෝස් කරමු මතක තියෙනවනේ වැඩි කළා 57600 ඔයාගේ අර මේ ඔය කැල් එකේ අර ඔප්ෂන් එක එන්නේ නැහැ ඔක කරන්න ඕම but anyways we can do අර බ්‍රැකට්ස් වලින් ගේම ගහන්න පුළුවන් මම අර බෑක් ගිහලා බලන්න කොහොමද ආන්නේ කියලා තියෙනවා so we are done with that adverse now හොඳට බලන්න හැබැයි exam එකේ මෙහෙම දෙන්නත් පුළුවන් හැබැයි examiner is very different kind of thinker. Some of the exam, my few of the students, they got in the BA2 and the P1 also. They didn't even given total cost variance. They only gave හරි ලේසි. මේ දෙක විතර දීලා දෙනවා. දැන් ඕගොල්ලෝ පුරුදු වෙලා තියෙන අර ෆෝමියුලා එක හදන්නේ. මොකද කරන්නේ? මේ දෙක price variance එකයි usage variance එකයි add කරන්න definitely which should be equal to the total cost variance. බලන්න එකතු කරලා 10560යි favorable එන්න ඕනෙමයි 19200න් 8640 අඩු කළාම 10560යි favorable එන්න ඕනේ එනවනේ ඔය වගේ අහන්නත් පුළුවන් sometimes they can give total cost variance and the usage variance this one didn't give මොකද කරන්නේ 19200න් අඩු කරනවා 10560 ද ඔව් එතකොට එන්නේ නැද්ද මයිනස් ගානක් එනවනේ එතන මයිනස් ගානක් එනවනේ ඒ කියන්නේ දැන් total cost variance එක සමානයි price and usage කියලා නෙන්නේ එතකොට total cost එක පැත්තට අර 9200 එන්නේ මයිනස් වෙලා sorry නැත්නම් අර පැත්තට එතන මයිනස් ගානක් එනවා ඔය වගේ එන්න පුළුවන් so we done with the material cost variance price usage and total cost clear understood labor එක කරමු break එකට පස්සේ so my online partner Sarah Ahmad understood clear shall we go for a break then after that we are going to work with the labor so now for 2 we are going to start the lecture around 4:30 30 4:35 දාමු 35 දාමු 4:35 යන්නේ ඉන්නවනේ Yeah. Right. Online participants, can you confirm? Can you hear me? Is audible? Audible? Hello. Can you hear me? Sarah, Ahmad, can you confirm? Can you hear me? Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. Right. So welcome. Now we have to thank you. We have discussed about the previously this material cost variance calculation because of the audio issues and all. We had to fix that problem. Now we sorted. So if you cannot hear me, please put the text that message to Zoom session. Then we can again check that how it's what happened to what to do and all. So hope now you can hear me properly and clearly. Right. Then now, once you complete with the material cost variance, we have to focus with the one area called labor variances. Labor variances. So labor variances are there to focus. Labor variance computation. Prior to that, prior to that, page number 34, in the same page number 34, you can see knowledge plus direct material cost variance equal direct material usage variance plus direct material price variance. So here you have a direct material cost variances. You to calculate the direct material cost variance, we learn by adding those usage and the price variance together, yes, we can get the cost variance. So this is the explanation they have given. The second one, you have a production department manager is responsible for direct material usage variance since the usage takes place during production. Actually, production center manager is responsible for production related things. For example, when you are talking about and when you're working with the usage kind of things, usage variances here, production manager is using all the quantity whatever you purchase and all when the production process is going on. The production manager is the responsible hub. So this we call under usage. That's why they have given if there is a direct material usage variance, any adverse variance, he is the production manager is responsible. So why they can ask the question why this is adverse? You can say the material usage is that much high in actually than we expected. So then you can say, right, this happened because of that, because they purchased the low quality material. Therefore, we had a low, high wastage. Then we had to use a higher number of material. Then that ball is passed to the purchasing manager. No, why? The price variance is definitely favorable because of that. Then purchasing manager is responsible when the purchasing manager purchase with the low quality material with a lower rate. Therefore, purchasing manager should be accountable. So like that, they can share the ball among them, passing the ball among them, and then this is we call the usage production manager. If it is a purchasing, then material price variance. So these two sentences are given in here. And then if inventory is valued at standard cost, direct material price is calculated based on total material purchase. This is the one I called you. If it is a purchase rate variances, you had to use a purchase quantity. If it is the used, then you had to use the usage quantity, and at the usage variance, you had to use the actual material used. So this is the one I explained during the calculation. So now we are coming to the direct. Before that, there are some reasons. Direct material price variances, page number 35. Direct material price variances, there are some reasons. So the reasons they have raised, The price variance occurs because the actual materials have been bought at a different price from what should have been paid for them. Some of the costs could be, then you expected the particular price, but actually you paid some different price. Why? Because of the inflation. Actual price can be changed, no? That can be increased because of the inflation. And the seasonal factors can be considered. What are the seasonal factors? What are seasonal factors? Under seasonal factor, yes, we can say the December season, we have a Christmas. And then next year we have a month of May, that's a 4 year, it's a 4 year. And the first one. So like that, the seasonal kind of thing. And also then I think for what we call closer to that your functions, that means you eat, no? Yes, eat. That eat means after the fasting and all, that is a eat. The eat time, then the nearest that mosque and all, and the closer to that area, they're all the houses they are. Then after 6 o'clock, that after that fasting, you are preparing the water lapang and different foods. And sometimes that kind of time, the people who are doing this as a business, they have some demand. Why? That time you people are not purchasing, maybe producing, you are purchasing from them. So like a biryani, all these things. And we call that, what is that called? Biryani, that one, as is we call sawan. So sometimes you are organizing iftar. So this kind of thing here, we achievers, we also have iftar. So we are paying that money and we are purchasing. So then seasonal based, no. So at that time, the prices can be changed. Then actually we expected this much, but when it comes to that time period, based on the seasons, can be changed. Sometimes in the December this season, that price of the cloth and other stuff and all this can be changed. We can't. That's seasonal. So these seasonal factors also going to be penalized in that direct material price variance consideration area. So this is as a reason. And the discounts, trade discounts. We call trade discounts. What are the trade discounts? For example, you expected this particular cost, which is high. When it comes to the actual price is very low. So then that kind of situation, you can say, this is happened because of actual price time you got the trade discount. When you are purchasing a bulk load, the heavy, that particular bulk, you might get the discount for that. We call the bulk discount, not on trade discount. Then after, we have a number 4, the wrong estimations. What are the wrong estimations? Wrong estimations mean you estimate some particular price or whatever rate as a let's say incorrectly. You have something omitted, then you have incorrectly recorded. Because of that, sometimes that can be a higher price is there, higher rate is there. Therefore, compared to that, it's a problem. And then shortages of weather conditions. Shortages of weather conditions. What is that? Now, for example, this now very heavy rain, So now the people who are doing the cultivations, that crops cannot be cultivated on properly on time because of the rainy, that kind of the way, then vegetables, rice, and all other prices can be increased. Because from newer area to here, and some of the people who are in here, they are doing some, not here means some village area, the cultivation can be collapsed because of the rainy or because of the flood and all. That kind of situation, what happened? Very short supply, automatically economy will decide to increase the price of that vegetable. Therefore, we can say under price very vegetables, we are calling like that. Because of that, we explain. For example, our company is a restaurant, hotel. We expected that much. When you are purchasing with the vegetable, very high expensive. Because we are hotels, we want to produce some. Because we are having the tourists and all, some wedding reception, then all these things, wedding functions are there. So that kind of situation, we want to work on according to that. Therefore, we have to consider. So that's kind of situations can be happen, right? And then tax rates, exchange rates. Tax rates and exchange rates. What are the tax rates and exchange rates? In this country, see, the current Sri Lanka economy, the taxation rate, they have increased. They are charging the multiple rates from the different people who are earning the revenue and all, pay as you earn and corporate taxes, personal taxes, whatever different taxes are there now. When it comes to corporate tax and VAT tax, value added tax and all, the different rates, and actually when you are purchasing with a particular material, which is expensive, why? They have included that tax. Why? They want to recover that. So therefore can be changed. And then material usage variance reasons are there in the same page. Poor quality. Your usage variance can be shown as a adverse because of the poor quality. That means you use a higher number of quantity in actually. Then we can say poor quality because of the wastage. Errors in the standard. Again, estimate karanakota, you have done the estimation with error. Because of that, we expected very low one, but actually usage one is very high. That's what happened. In process. If you have a skilled labor, they can use the particular material, they can do more production from the available small number of quantity. If you have a unskilled laborers, what do you think? Oh my God, you can't do that. Why? There are high number of, yes. Therefore, we had to be careful. And then machinery conditions, machinery. If the machine is running out of that control, we call the breakdowns. Any breakdowns happen. So at that time, we supposed to purchase, supposed to produce some particular quantity because of the breakdown and whatever, we didn't produce that much. And then sometimes usage, so we are going to set up the machine according to the plan. No? Because of that, we are running out of the control. Therefore, our number of usage might be increased because of the machinery breakdown, because of the machinery capacity. Sometimes capacity is a problem because we want this particular production volume from that particular usage of that quantity. Your volume is very low, but you use more quantity, raw materials. Therefore, because of the capacity problem can be happen. So these are the points we had to consider when you are doing with the material usage. So now we are coming to the labor cost variance under the second computation. Right. Example number 2. We call labor cost variance. Labor cost variance. Labor cost variance. Number 1, we have a direct labor total cost variance. 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 How to calculate? We know direct labor standard, direct labor cost per unit, standard labor cost per unit multiplied with the actual number of units produced. Remove or deduct total actual direct labor cost incurred. So this is the formula. Difference between the total standard direct labor cost with actual total direct labor cost. So now we can compute standard direct labor cost per unit from the question. So example number 2, they already given the question. Budgeted production in 2012, which is 50,000 units. Standard cost card, we call the labor per unit. 6 hours per unit at $10 per hour, $60 per unit, and actual production volume 14,000 units. Actual labor hours work 95,250 hours. Clock hours, actual hours paid for 101,200 hours, costing 996,820. So what does this mean? So now very clear. Budgeted production is there, actual production is there. Standard cost per unit is there, $60, and standard rate per hour also there. Standard hours per unit also there. But what does this mean? You can confuse what is this actual labor hours work and the clock hours, actual hours paid. Actually, so before this computation, actual hours paid, we can say 101,200 hours. 101,200 hours. And then actual hours actively worked. Actual hours actively worked, which is 95,250 hours. 95,250 hours. So what is the difference between these two? 101,200 minus 95,250. What is the difference? How much? 5,950. 5,950 hours. Actually, what is it? 5,950 hours. Very good. Idle hours. We call this is the idle hours. Idle hours. Or we can say non-productive hours. Here, only productive hours is this. This is the non-productive. These two together, you have a total hours paid. A productive and non-productive together, whatever the way, they almost paid the total hours. But when you are considering the labor cost variance, we have to consider about the actual hours actively worked in some particular computation. When you are working with another computation, we have to consider about the actual hours paid. So I will tell you in that particular area when you are focusing with that. So anyways, our idle hours, we had to calculate why we had to calculate the idle time variance as well. So this is the one. If you want, you can write this down in your notebook. My online participants also can brief record. Yes, yes, Farah. Idle hours, very good. You can write this computation called the difference between the total hours paid and the actual hours actively worked, and the idle hours you can highlight. So right. So now let's do the computation. Standard direct labor cost per unit, right? So now let's do the computation. Here we have a standard direct labor cost per unit. Standard direct labor cost per unit, how much? $60. $60 multiplied with the actual number of units produced, which is 14,000 units. which is 14,000 units, minus total our actual direct labor cost incurred, how much? Which is 996,820. 996,820. So 60 into 14,000, how much? 60 into 840,000. 840,000 equal 840,000 minus 996,820. What is the difference? Hmm? 156,820. Right. So we received the number like this. Correct answers are yes, 156,820. Yes. So now when we are deciding the adverse or favorable, we have to compare with the logically, not with the calculated sign. Total cost incurred is higher than the expected. Definitely the adverse variance. We call adverse variance. 156,820. Right. The next computation they want you to calculate direct labor efficiency variance. So let's do that. Direct labor efficiency. Direct labor efficiency variance equal difference between the standard direct labor hours per unit into actual number of unit produced. Not difference between a standard direct labor hours per unit into the actual units and minus here. We have to remember when it comes to the efficiency level, what is the hours you are going to use for the here? Actual hours, paid or actual hours actively work. When you are working with, yes, correct, Sarah. When you are working with the efficiency variance, here our actual hours should be not the hours paid. Actual hours actively worked. That's the answer. When you are working with the price variance, what is hours you are going to use? When you are working with the price variance. Yes, actual hours paid. Only for the efficiency, actively work hours we are going to use. When you work with the labor rate variance, yes, we are going to use the actual hours paid. So this is the difference we have to remember when you're working with the computation from the variance under labor cost variance. So we can say total direct labor, total direct labor hours, total direct labor hours actively total direct labor hours actively work, total direct labor hours actively work multiplied with standard direct labor rate per hour. Standard direct labor rate per hour. So standard direct labor hours per unit, which is we have the numbers called which is 6 hours per unit. 6 hours per unit multiplied with the actual number of unit produced. How much? 14,000. 14,000 minus Total direct labor hours actively work, which is how much? 96,000, 95,250. 95,250 hours. 95,250 hours. Into standard direct labor rate per hour, which is how much? Standard direct labor rate per hour kiyada? $10. $10. $10 per hour. So now 6 into 14,000, how much? 6 into 14,000 here. 84,000. 84,000 hours. So this 84,000 minus 95,250 into the $10, how much? $112,500. 112,500. Forget about the calculator given sign, adverse or minus or pluses, whatever. Think logically. Here, total direct labor hours actively work is higher than the we expected. Total actively work hours is higher than the what we expected. Actually, efficiency is there. Actively work hours is higher than we expected. Do you have any efficiency here? No. And my friends Zara and Ahmad tell me adverse or favorable. Because efficiency level, actively work hours are very high than we expected. Yes, correct. We are unable to provide the answer called favorable. Why? Here we are calculating the efficiency variance. And actively work hours are higher. But we can say efficiency. Actually, no efficiency. Why? You took the long hours to work. We expected this much, but we have this much. So we call adverse variance. So under the bracket, within bracket, we can say adverse, done and dusted. Clear? 112, 500 done. So the next one, labor rate variance. Shall I clean the whiteboard? Yeah. Okay. Labor rate variance. Labor, third one, direct labor rate variance. Direct labor rate variance. How to calculate difference between the standard direct labor rate per hour minus actual direct labor rate per hour, actual direct labor rate per hour. This computation need to be multiplied with actual hours paid. Not actual hours actually worked. It's actual hours paid. So here we have a standard direct labor rate per hour. How much? $10. $10. Minus actual direct labor rate per hour, we don't know. Now we can calculate. How? Because in this case, the direct labor rate variance, they want the actual hours paid according to that. So we can do the computation. 996,820 divide by 95,250. So we divide by 95,250 and multiplied with actual hours paid again, not 95, sorry, not 95 to 50, 101,200. 100, 1,200 multiplied with 100, 1,200. Actually, I was paid, no? So what is the answer? Can you tell me this 99,996,820 divided by 102, 101,200? I mean, roughly, I want to know the rate. The efficiency adverse, definitely it should be favorable. 9.85, no? Yes, mega animating favorable, 9.85. But you don't take this number, go as a flow, and then tell me what is the completed full number, full computation number. Huh? 15,120. 80. 15,180. Now we have decided adverse or favorable. No logic, no problem. Actual rate is very low than we expected. Therefore, we call favorable. So done. The next computation, number 4, idle time variance. Idle time variance. How to calculate idle hours need to be multiplied with the standard direct labor rate per hour. Then now idle hours how much now? 59? 59? 5950. 5,950 hours need to be multiplied with the standard direct labor rate per hour, $10. So we know no need to worry about the logic. Anyways, idle is the adverse. So 5,000, nah, not 5,000, 59,500 adverse. 59,500 adverse, which is we call idle hours. So now we can do the computation. You all know total direct labor cost variance equal to direct labor rate variance plus direct labor usage variance plus direct labor idle time variance. So then tell me total direct labor cost variance equal direct labor rate variance how much? We calculated direct labor rate. Maybe 15,180 favorable plus direct labor usage. We call efficiency. Efficiency. Efficiency ki daave 112,500 adverse. Yeah, we can say it's a minus sign. And plus make it almost idle hours. 59,500. Hello. Right. Uh, so idle time variance, we have 59,500 minus 59,500 is also. And then add those and tell me what is the answer. Similar answer in note. You might get the total direct labor cost variance, same number once you computed this. Yes, how much? 156,820 adverse. Yes, when you are calculating the idle time variances, here we don't want to have a logic behind that. Anyways, idle times are non-productive. Then we can say almost adverse. Adverse. Right, we done with that. Right. Then now let's focus with the next one, not the labor. What is the next one? Variable overhead cost variance. Prior to that, we had to check some theories relevant to the labor rate and all, labor variance, and then after we can finish and we can move with the variable overhead variance. So this lesson is very too long. That will take some few classes. So then you can see so now direct labor rate variance reasons are given here. Prior to that, we have a knowledge class. You all know page number 36. Direct labor cost variance can be calculated direct labor efficiency variance plus direct labor rate variance plus idle time variance. We done with the computation and we proved that. Production department production manager is responsible for direct labor efficiency variance. Why? Number of hours actively work, high or low, that production manager should be capable or accountable for that fluctuations. For example, production center manager should be hire skilled laborers rather than having the unskilled people. Having the skilled people, that would be better because skilled people will give the highest number of effort, which is we call efficiency. Therefore, you can have a lower use, that we call lower active work hours than we expected. Therefore, we had to compute according to that. And then the labor unions activity, sometimes labor unions can be have some kind of the trade in union activities. At that time, they have protest and not protest, they are having some of the, they want some of the things to from the organization. That kind of the time, they are not working. So actually, work hours can be increased because not having sufficient number of people. Sometimes because the trade activities, trade union activities, we have to pay the requested salary. So therefore, unexpectedly, we had to really increase the actual rate per hour. So that kind of situations can be okay. Work becoming more difficult, very difficult work hours, that therefore we had to pay the lot of money per hour. Therefore, rate variance can be adverse. Labor legislation, legally, the legal force they have given, right, we may require to work according to that. So this much of the salary should be given, this much of work hours can be worked, no beyond that can be. Inflation, yes, inflation rate can be penalized here because when you are considering the salary level, we have to consider inflation. Labor shortages, not having proper sufficient number of employees for the organization work. At that time, we had to focus about how to work with this work and all without having the proper employees. Then labor shortage can be happen. Then the labor efficiency variance reasons. These variances arises because the workforce has worked faster or slower than they should have. This variance can be caused by factors such as learning effect, motivation of employee, and the technology and the different grade of labor being used. Learning effects can be different labor skills are there. We have to provide the their expert knowledge for them to enhance. So we not having the proper labor effects, that can be a problem. And then motivation of worker. Employees are not motivated. They are coming early in the morning with a demotivated manner. They don't want to put the highest effort for the company production level. Therefore, the efficiency level go down. Technology, you have a lower technology, no technology advancement. When the employees are running with the machine, the old machine will give the same kind of the production volume. Therefore, employees again demotivating, and also the technology also not capable for the higher number of production. Therefore, efficiency will go down. Different grade of labor means unskilled and the skilled laborer. And page number 38, you have a better incentives that we call based on the work you are doing, we have to provide the incentives. If you are not providing the proper incentives, that is the problem. They are not allowing. So like that, we are coming to the third computation we call variable overheads cost variance. Variable overhead cost variance. Variable overhead cost variance. Under that, we are going to learn the number one, which is we call total variable overhead cost. Total variable overhead cost variance. Total variable overhead cost variance can be computed or can be calculated like this. Difference between the standard variable heads cost per unit into actual number of unit produced minus actual total direct actual total variable overheads cost incurred. So this is the computation. So the now standard variable overhead cost per unit is there. We have a computation number 3. We have read the first question. Budgeted production volume in 2012, 20,000 volume. Standard cost card is the one given variable overhead per unit and 4 hours per and at $5 per hour, $20 per unit, all the standard cost per unit. Actual production, which is 23,000 units. Actual labor hours worked, 96,600 hours. Clock hours paid is we call the 97,000 hours. Actual variable overhead cost is given. Total variable overhead cost, variable efficiency, and the expenditure variance need to be computed. So, how about my total standard variable overhead cost per unit? $20. $20. What about my actual volume? I have a, what is that? Actual volume, how much? 23,000 units. 23,000 units minus actual total variable overhead cost incurred, which is we call how much? 494,700. 494,700. So then 20 into 23,000, how much? 460,000. So what is my computer number without plus or minus? 340. 34,700. 34,700 we can consider lower the higher actual cost, lower standard cost. That's adverse. Right. The second one, variable overheads efficiency variance. Here also they have given the labor hours work and the clock hours. 97,000 minus 96,600. What is idle hours? Hours paid like 97,000. Hours actually work is 96,600. 400 is the idle hours. Yeah, 400. So here we have to remember one thing. under variable overhead cost variance computation, we may require to consider efficiency variance and the variable expenditure variance. This and variable expenditure. For these two, we are only considering the actual hours actively worked, not the hours paid. We have to remember that. When it comes to the labor efficiency, actively our work hours is like that. But rate variance, we are using hours paid. But under variable overhead, no. Expenditure and efficiency, we are using the hours actively worked. Hours actively worked, not the hours paid. Right. So, yeah. So when it comes to variable overhead cost variance, we have a variable overhead efficiency variance, variable overhead expenditure variance. Efficiency and expenditure under this variable overhead category, we are using the actual hours actively worked, not the hours paid. When you are working with the labor cost variance, rate variance, we use the hours paid. Efficiency, we use the actively worked hours. But this case, expenditure hari, efficiency, whatever under this variable overhead, we are using actively worked hours, not the hours paid. They come actively work hours. That is the point we have to remember. Right. Variable overhead efficiency, we can compute the difference between the standard quantity per unit. Now we can say standard labor hours per unit into actual units minus actual hours actively worked into standard direct labor rate per hour. We can say, in other words, standard variable overheads expenditure per hour. Standard variable overhead expenditure per hour. So then now variable overhead efficiency variance is there. No? So my variable overhead efficiency variance, standard hours, at the standard direct labor per unit, how much? We have how much? Dollars? No, sorry. 4 hours. 4 hours per unit. 4 hours per unit. And into actual volume, how much? Actual volume, which is 23,000 units. Yes. 23,000 units. Minus actual hours actively worked, which is 97,000. Remain 96,600. Into standard variable overhead expenditure rate per hour. How much? $5. $5 per hour. So now tell me this 4 into 23,000, how much? 92,000. 92,000. 92,000 hours. Final computation. I mean numbers without sign. 23,000. Answer also 23,000. 23,000. Okay. 23,000. Hope my online participants also agreed with this. Yeah. Yes. Here, actively work hours is higher than this. Efficiency of no. Adverse. We are done with this one. So now let's do the final computation. Shall I clean the whiteboard? Yeah. The next one is the variable overhead expenditure variance. Variable overhead expenditure variance. Variable overhead expenditure variance. Number 3, variable overheads expenditure variance. Variable overhead expenditure variance can be calculated. Difference between the standard variable overheads expenditure per hour minus actual variable overheads expenditure per hour into actual hours actively worked. Right. So my standard variable overhead expenditure rate per hour, expenditure rate per hour. How much? Expenditure rate per hour is $5. Minus actual variable overhead expenditure rate per hour, we don't know. We can compute how 494,700 need to be divided by actively work hours, not the hours paid. Because all hours should be actively work, not the hours paid. Therefore, we have to divide by 96,600 for actively worked hours into actively work hours, again 96,600. Right. So now tell me, what is the roughly this number? The rough number? 494,700 divided by this. 5.12. 5.12. So then what is the final answer? Without the plus minus. $11,700, which is we call adverse or favorable. Actual rate is very high, equal adverse. So now tell me variable overhead expenditure rate per expenditure variance plus variable overhead efficiency variance together. Did you receive total cost variance same in a number? Rate එකයි expenditure එකයි efficiency එකයි එකතු කළාම did you receive the same number? So based on that should be online participants, can we provide the answers like that? Yes. Received. Yes. Yes. Yeah. So we are going to wind up the today's class right now because now we're almost okay. So balance part I'm going to conduct on the next week. So we after that this chapter was completed, we are going to start the operating statements, right? So chapter 4, first hour I'm going to finish, and then the next balance part I'm going to start in the next week. This same and another second, third hour. Right. So thank you so much. Hope you don't have questions. We are going to finish the lectures for the today. So thank you so much for the commitment, and see you all on next week, Sunday, as per the usual time. Thank you. And online participants, hope you don't have questions. Yes, thank you, and goodbye. Good evening.